Yo, so I just want to point out this is therapy for us all. Like week in, week out. We look forward to it.
Listen,
Well,
it's
it's
just
gonna be one of them nights.
it's going to be. I'm telling you.
Man, another Tuesday night at 9, man. Welcome to Prototype Dad Podcast, man. We're gonna have a good time tonight. What's up, fellas? How y'all feeling tonight?
Feeling good, feeling great.
Feeling great, feeling good. How are you? So man, we got an interesting topic tonight. So we're gonna talk about the pessimist versus the realist versus the what's the last one? The
What?
Optimist.
Optimist,
Yeah,
pessimist, and a realist.
and the realist. So we want to kind of break those down and see what's the best way to be, how they benefit you, how they don't, that kind of stuff. But I kind of want to get into the new format, man, and talk a little bit about the weekly news, man. This is the weekly news. So what y'all think about the Key Bridge falling down like that? You know what I mean? It's just from the barge hitting it, and it's weird to me like that. It can hit that one part of the bridge, and the whole bridge collapse. So, is this a conspiracy or is this an accident? What you got, Leaford?
You know what, man? I haven't really seen much about it, man. I've been under a rock pretty much all day today, focusing on some stuff. But what I did see, uh, it looked like the barge lost power at some point in time, like while it was coasting over there. And I don't know why it would turn into that stanchion there. But even with that being said, you would think there would be some other support system there for such an occasion, knowing that those barges go frequent that location often. Um, so I don't know why that would be the weakest point where it would hit, it'd be able to hit that and then it all come crumbling down all around it. Conspiracy, I can be a nut here and there, about certain things, but it something looks a little suspicious there. But it's unfortunate for those who were involved with it, of course, but also it's just like how would that point right there, bring everything crumbling down? But um, yeah, I think it's just really unfortunate, but I don't know how much of a conspiracy it might be. I don't know what's going on surrounding that area right now. I mean, would it be right in the middle of the water? I don't know who owns said bridge or said passageway, but there might be some different things in play there. I know here we have the bridges, and one company owns the bridges, and then the other company or the other entity owns the maintenance of it, and then somebody owns the land under the bridge. And they're, when something happens with the bridge or something, they're always like vying for who should pay for what and who, which part of it's on. So I mean, there might be bigger politics at play here. But yeah, Mo, you look like you itching.
So listen, so this is actually I think this kind of speaks to kind of what side of the fence we land on, whether it be pessimist, optimist, or realist, or whatever, our thoughts, because it's so early. So this is just kind of assumptions at this point. But it's somebody who, so at one point I lived in Savannah and I had a lot of people that worked for me that were longshoremen. And in this small amount of time that I dealt with them in those 2 years, there's a couple things that I know. There's always I guess, what is it, a dinghy in front of them, and there's always supposed to be two boats, smaller tugboats in the back of them. So that's not supposed to happen. And this bridge has been there for 50 years. So no telling how many barge ships have come and gone. And you're telling me this is the first time this happens, and it's the perfect storm to where it loses power and it veers. I don't buy it. And I don't want to say I'm necessarily a conspiracy theorist, but I am willing to follow wherever the evidence takes me. And the first thing that I think of when I think of that is we've been talking about for a long time that our infrastructure is getting old and we need to go and we need to kind of put the money back into it. And anytime there's a conspiracy theory, the first thing they tell you is follow the money. So if you start hearing about, see, look, this is why we need to start putting back money into the infrastructure and we need to start building American and we need to start getting these people back to work. I think that'll jive with.
You think they just created some jobs? Is that what that was? It's going to get political, man. A lot of weird stuff has been happening.
It's definitely going to be politicized. Yep, absolutely.
What's up, Smooth? Conspiracy or accident?
Man. Hey, I hate to be this guy, dog. Oh, conspiracy on my end, man. I haven't looked too far into it, but I think I read a couple of things because I know before when they were showing the ship going up to the bridge, you can see cars going back and forth. But when they hit the bridge, you didn't see no cars.
That's what I was saying. Like, where are the cars?
So my thing is,
they said there were some cars in the water, though.
But they said, look, they was missing like 6 people, right? Like 2 off the boat and then 6 workers on the bridge. So what are people in the cars at? Who told them to stop? Like, don't go on the bridge at this time. Yeah, it was 1:30 in the morning, but at the same time, man, something ain't right. And I don't even know the lay of the land. Like, what was on this side of the bridge compared to this side of the bridge that could make something powerful? You know what I'm saying? Are they trying to stop something from happening?
HD, welcome to the platform.
What's up, bro?
We appreciate you over here, man. And
Absolutely.
good to have you.
Appreciate you having me.
Accident or conspiracy?
Oh, it's definitely a conspiracy. Definitely, because woke up this morning. My wife said, "Have you seen this?" I'm like, "I just woke up." No, I haven't seen it. She said there was a bridge that collapsed. She showed me the pic, showed it to me, and then I said that just don't sound. It don't sound right. I mean, from the jump, and that's all I saw, and I hadn't gotten any information. And so as the information has been coming out, similar to what some of you guys are saying, things don't line up. I'm thinking, it's something to do with Diddy, right? Because a lot of eyes are on this dude, right? He's been connected to a lot of things right now. You feel me? And he needs to get some heat off of him.
Right? Hey, that's the next weekly news question.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Starks.
Yeah, so I think that it's a conspiracy to get us to pay attention to the bridge situation as opposed to something else that they're working on.
Yo, that'd be crazy that if Diddy's that big that they will knock down the bridge.
No, not they. HD, you saying Diddy blew the bridge up to get the heat out of him?
No.
I'm saying that he's
distraction.
Yeah, just saying it's a distraction. Is Diddy that? I mean, he is a Billy, right? Is Diddy that big that they'll crash out a whole bridge to distract you from the
speculation? Like, I'm not confirming it. I'm just speculating, just based on what my eyes are telling me and what my ears are hearing. Because they're also, I don't know if y'all pay attention to Candace Owens. She also made a statement about he may have something to do with Michael Jackson. And his death.
I heard that, but I don't know the connection.
I didn't hear that.
She said she didn't want to get too much into it.
Yeah, right.
It very might well be a situation. So if he's that powerful, then this is nothing. Then his house was just raided. Then the next day or the next evening, basically morning, now you have the bridge situation, right? So I was just listening to another guy. He's a National Coast Guard. He said that he smelled something fishy as well, because there's supposed to be sounds that take place when there's danger about to happen as it relates to hitting something out there. And so that's just my take for now. So I say it's definitely a conspiracy. And then
No, and that's real. So
all
check
right.
this. So I just got a breaking news from the Wall Street Journal that says the Baltimore bridge collapse will include whether dirty fuel caused the cargo ship to lose power and crash. So now that's going to be a reason to get off fossil fuels and okay, everything's EV. So that could be something else they could politicize. So it's
You know
get
they gonna
ready. It's election year. Get ready.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. You got to remember it's the election year.
Candace Starks, what you think? Welcome to the platform. Oh, she muted. She don't even know it. There you go.
I mean,
Conspiracy or accident?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like we're in 2024. Like, for that kind of accident to happen, like, there are so many technologies that we have. You know what I mean? Like monitors and radars, and like as far as like monitoring systems for boats and things of that sort. So, and I mean, as one of the other gentlemen had mentioned, like I'm sure there's some kind of like alerts and bells or signals. There got to be something. All these years, this bridge been chilling, but like
All of a sudden.
yeah, all of a sudden, like, and no one's giving any explanations as to why. Was the guy drunk? Like, what was going on? Like, what happened that this magically happened? So, I mean, I don't really have a good reason why this conspiracy happened exactly, but I'm gonna throw it in the conspiracy box. I'm going for it. I'm here for it because it doesn't make any sense. The math ain't mathing.
Everybody got the tinfoil kufi on the day.
Yeah. Yeah. What y'all think about Diddy on a run?
Oh my God.
What you got for that, Lee?
Well, I'm also hearing that he wasn't on the run. I don't know, what sources you have, but I've heard sources. I've heard things that said he was on the run, and I've heard other things that said he wasn't on the run. But I'd be running. The feds pull up. They don't show up unless they got a case. You know what I mean? Like their conviction rate is like in the high 90 percentile. So
98%.
they ain't coming. Yeah, they're not coming unless they got a case already. Like you locked up. So you know what I mean? If I was him, I'd be running to a nice country with no extradition. And I'd just be hanging out there till things boil over. And if I was him, I would have already been funneling money out. You know what I mean? Slowly knowing that this stuff was coming. I mean, a lot of his little partners and friends in crime have been in the background getting locked up and getting arrested. And there's just way too much of this stuff going on with a lot of these guys in power where stuff is now starting to fall on them because the guys above them aren't willing to take the hit. So these little guys that we think are the major players that we see who are just the multimillionaires or maybe the 1 billionaires is they got to take the fall because the trillionaires is up there and they in the background. They ain't willing to take that fall. So yeah, I think if he was on the run, he was smart. And if he wasn't on the run, he should have been.
Mo better.
I look at it this way: either you're smart or you're lucky. And I don't think he's that lucky. So with that being said, so the first thing that I heard was it was about trafficking, like human trafficking. I'll put it that way. That was the first thing I was hearing. But then just recently, right before we got on, they said something about there was some kind of mule they got caught at Miami airport, and he was like, and it had something to do with drugs. I'm like, what is Diddy doing with drugs? So I don't know the connection with that. But either way, when the feds hit both your mansions at the same time, boy, it's soap on a rope time.
Yeah.
So he on that Russell Simmons plan. He about to go hit Bali, and he about to be there.
Is that where Russell's at? Is Russell under indictment as well?
Investigation, yeah, absolutely. Well, he had some accusations. I don't know if they ever charged him with anything, but yeah, go somewhere without extradition, live like a king. Hey man, I see you when I see you.
He's out.
Yeah, so I think that's the play. Take that. He's out of here.
Smooth. What you got?
My lawyer got me on a gag order, man. I can't speak about this case. I defer to HD.
What, he was the whole runner?
Hey man, I don't know who all going down with this, man. Hey, I was part of the Bad Boy fan club back in the day, man. I don't. Hey, Mississippi chapter. I don't know how far this thing going, how deep they going, this rabbit hole going, man. I don't want to get involved with it, man.
Well, if you ain't had nothing to do with it, you shouldn't have no problems.
I didn't say I had nothing to do with it.
Okay.
Where you at, HD? I know you speak a lot against secular artistry, and you know what I mean. You like to stay on the Christian music side.
I try to stay on the side of truth. That's really what it is. You know what I'm saying? Regardless, like if a Christian do something wrong, I'm gonna say that too. You know, uh, I believe it's very well. I won't say I believe. This is what I think. Diddy, both his homes got hit at the same time, but he was not present. I think that's pretty interesting. At the same time, his sons were there, though. I'm sure it seems as if he was aware that he was about to get hit. Because remember, I told you that he's a pretty powerful dude. Well, we all know that. And then if you think about it, back in, I was looking at something, I think it was 1999, him, and that's the reason why J-Lo got away from it, went, broke up with him because of the case or whatnot. So she had some thought of him not necessarily being innocent, because if she thought that he was a solid dude in that way, I mean, it's corrupt. I'm gonna say the type of woman that she is, that she was reaching for fame. I think she would have stayed with him because it brought her a lot of notoriety being with him. So I think that, as he said, as y'all said, the feds wouldn't come unless they had evidence, like solid evidence. And then of course he does need to, he gonna have to run or face the consequences, and the consequences should be very, very serious and up to whatever it needs to be done. That's what I would say. That's my take.
What you got, Starks?
Hey, yeah, I think Diddy's out here looking like where's Waldo right now? Like they're like, yeah, he's in the islands. No. He's at the airport in Miami. No. He's over here. Like,
Where's Diddy? I got you.
no. That's the next thing. He was wearing a striped shirt to match whatever I guess his jail stripes are gonna look like. I don't know. Yeah, he's out here looking crazy, but I think he knew. I think he knew they were coming. Hence why he was not there. Hence why his private plane is in the Caribbean while he's somewhere else, while his kids are somewhere else. I think that he knew that they were coming. I think that um I think that his kids happening to be at his home or at their home while it happened was just happenstance because he figured they weren't going to get any trouble for anything. So, hey, you be all right. I'm going to be wherever it is, and wherever wherever, things land is what it is, as long as he's not in cuffs. I think Diddy knew this is coming for a while, which is why he tried to change his name like 10 different times. He knew. And unfortunately, it's all coming back now. It's all wrapping itself up.
I mean, they've been talking about him for years, man, and where there's smoke, I guess it's clear there's definitely fire.
I've heard these stories. Literally, I've heard these stories for at least the past 10 years, and that's the minimum. I've heard these. So it wasn't even a surprise when it came out. Like, oh my god, what do you mean he's putting things in people's drinks?
You see the relief on Mace's face?
Oh yeah,
They finally got him.
I've been praying for days like this.
Oh, they finally got him.
Like, thank you. Like, I'm in the right spot I'm supposed to be in right now, is what he said. Because I guess back in the day we were all confused. Like, what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people are resting in peace that were connected to Diddy.
Yeah.
So he got out when he was supposed to, I guess.
Hey, shout out to the album of the week, man. I've been listening to this Davies for the Love. I don't know if you had the opportunity to check it out. Hey, but it's dope. It kind of if you heard that the Wale what is it, More About Nothing, where he was like kind of mimicking the Seinfeld thing. It's really smooth like that, where he used like a lot of skits from like Martin and Living Single, and you know what I'm saying, like it's definitely love. And for the book of the week, Mo Better, what book you reading right now?
Man, I'm reading Prime's book. I don't know where it's at, but shoot, tell us the title, bro. I forget, but you farther along I am, but I'm reading Prime's book. Was it 21 Ways to Elevate?
It's like elevate and motive and dominate.
Yeah.
I think it's like elevate and dominate or something like that.
Somebody I definitely took inspiration from as a kid and growing up. So I was definitely something I wanted to support, and so far so good. From what I hear, the audiobook is actually better, but because he's a good orator, so I could see that probably being better. But as far as the book though, so far so good, man. I definitely recommend it so far.
I bet. So let's get into the topic, man. Leifer, what would your peer group consider you? A pessimist, optimist, or a realist?
Good question. Peer group. Oh man.
I mean, from your own perspective, though. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you think people think about you when it comes to something like this?
Man, I don't know. I tend to be a realist. So I would like to think that's how people see me. You know what I mean? I can lean toward the optimistic side, but the realist in me always, is scoping out all possible outcomes and kind of just like, okay, I see it for what it is and I take it for what it is. But you know what I mean? Uh, I'm hoping for the best at the end of that. But so I would hope my peer group sees me as a realist, and if not that, then an optimist. But you know, I'm looking at my peer group and they're saying nothing. So
Mo Better, what you got?
Look, so kind of how Leifer was trending, and this is me. I really don't care the perception, to be honest. But and I think if we were to talk about that perception, a lot of times what happened is based on where they fall. Like I always say, where you stand is determined by where you sit. But for me, I would consider myself a realist, whereas some people would say, well, you're a pessimist. And to me, the only reason you would be a pessimist is because you feel that there is no solution. And I would consider myself to be a solutionist. There's no situation that I've found myself in or people that have been in around me that I haven't been able to get them out of. And as long as there's hope, and once hope's gone, that's when you become pessimist and there's no solution to it. But I always find myself to be able to find a solution to whatever real situation there is. So I would definitely consider myself to be a realist, but the perception it varies.
What you got, Smooth? What do your peer group consider you, and what do you consider yourself?
Ah man. Look, I think my peer group and myself consider myself realist. Co-workers consider me optimistic. I think my family consider me pessimistic because they get mad like I always bring the negative out first. But I'm like, yo, we can take care of everything else. But if something go wrong, I need to know that y'all on the same page with me to get this fixed. You know what I'm saying? Let's focus on that. And then, like, if it don't happen, it's gonna be smooth sailing. But my wife and my kids say me all the time, Daddy, why you always pointing out the negative stuff?
Because you the one that gotta fix it. That's why. Because you the one that gotta carry the bag. That's why.
Right.
What you got, HD? What are your peer group? What do you think your peer group considers you, and what do you consider yourself?
Listen, it's a transition, bro. I'm with Smooth. It's really depending on what land I'm in, right? I would say in these YouTube streets, they would probably call me a pessimist, right? People at my job, the ladies that I work with, I would definitely think that they would call me a pessimist. And then the people that know me, I would say they would say that I'm a realist. I think being an optimist, that means you're basically seeing the glass half full. And I don't always think that the glass is half full. I just see the glass for what it is. You know, I'm not trying to make it more than what it is. Similar to what Kobe, I heard him say, he's like trying to make it to a point where you're even keel. like, and just living in them. That's the hard part. But I'm trying to live in the moment and make sure that I don't get too high or too low, in a particular situation. Because if I respond in that regard, then I'm gonna be disappointed potentially, right? So I just keep it real. And I would say that myself, I would say like I'm a realist uh, most of the time, because if I'm not, then I don't know where else to go. Like I told you, I will respond to the truth, and so I think telling the truth is keeping it real. So no matter how you feel about it, I'm telling you the truth. You know what I'm saying? And so I basically have your best interest at heart because I'm keeping it 100 with you. You just don't like what it sound like. That's that's on you.
Starts. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
So I think in general, I'm an optimist. But as I get older, I think I tend to be still optimistic, but I know what the real looks like, or at least what the real looks like when it comes to what comes my direction. I guess you know what I mean, because everyone has their own version of what's real for them. You know what I mean, and what's real in their life. Um, but with that being said, I think that I'm always looking for the positive. You know, um, people say, "Hey, let's go do this. Let's figure this out. Whatever." I'm down. Let's figure it out until we know we can't figure it out. And if we can't, then that's the realization, the real of life. You know what I mean? Like doing something as with as much vigor and energy as I can give it, until you realize I can't. That's as much as I can do for it. You know what I mean? So I think that's just where I am with it.
Starts.
I
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Not just saying I don't like to sit in negativity because that's the energy that you give. You know, I'm big on energy. The energy you put out is the energy you get back. You speak it, it shall be. You hear somebody like I'm gonna bowl a strike, and then they bowl three strikes. It's because they spoke it. You know what I mean? You speak it, it shall be. If you say I don't know, I'm a suck at it. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna work. Yeah, it's not gonna work. Every ball you get's gonna be a gutter, and then you happen to get a strike. It's gonna look like a happy coincidence. You know?
Starks.
Sorry.
I have a question. Did you say something that about everybody has their own truth?
Mm-hmm.
How is that possible?
No, well, not own truth, but own sense of what's real for them. You know what I mean? Um, some people can literally, uh, let's say I'm pessimistic, or I'm being real. Yeah, life is just hard for me. Everything bad happens to me. Um, I my dog ran away yesterday. Um, the boss didn't say hi to me today. The guy I like smiled at the girl across the street, not me. Damn, life is bad for me. Well, that's now my realization. That's now my real. But it's not real for everybody else. Somebody else comes with a whole different approach. Like, you know what? My dog ran away yesterday, but I'm gonna find it today. Um, Boss didn't smile at me. It's cool. Maybe they have something going on in their brain. I'm gonna worry about me, get my job done, do what I got to do. You know what I mean? Like everything is about perception and the energy that you give life. So I think that when I say what's real for an individual, it just means it's what you decide is real for you. You know what I mean? If you decide that the world's against you, the world's gonna be against you. It's gonna feel like it's against you. But if you have nothing but opportunity, and you feel like you're gaining nothing but opportunity, then that's what's going to come your way. That energy is going to come to you.
So you're saying perception is reality.
Yep,
I got
absolutely.
I would definitely lean to the optimistic realist side. I'm more on not completely on Stark's page, but we kind of align there. You know what I mean? Where um I definitely believe like being more optimistic is more beneficial than uh being a such and such realist, and we'll get into the next question and where we could dig into who you are and how it's helped you. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, no, I'm definitely a more optimistic realist. Um, is my peer group? I think my peer group would definitely consider me maybe more optimistic than anything else. Um, but I would say I have a huge mixture of both. You know what I'm saying? But kind of how Stark said, like I'm gonna try until it doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you have to show me this don't work before I'm gonna stop. You know what I'm saying? And so before I even dig any deeper, because I'm about to go into my tangent. Leifer, how has being an optimistic realist benefited you in your life?
So first, let me say, there's a difference between facts, truth, reality, perception, and delusion. And I think there's a mixture of all of those in this equation, right? So you can be as optimistic as you want to, and you could talk about it being rainbows and stars and hearts and everything until your heart's content. It don't mean a goddamn thing. You know what I mean? And it really doesn't. So I guess you get nothing out of looking at the situation negative. So looking at it optimistically and positively is, I guess it's maybe good for your blood pressure, but I don't know that it necessarily changes reality. But I guess it's good to be delusional in that sense, to be able to, stay steady path to say, you know what, it didn't happen today, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And say it until it happens. And I guess that's okay. I think how being a realist has helped me in my life has, it allows me to see things for what they are, but also allows me to prepare for things that might not be, you know what I mean, or might not happen, or the things that might come that might be of hindrance or harm to me. So it allows me to take things in perspective and understand that everything's not always going to be the way I want it to be, and sometimes things will be better than I want it to be. And it allows me just to see the full picture, without being, without taking an emotional stance to it or being highly attached to it. It allows me to look at the situation logically in order to make the best decision. Now, thinking optimistically, it allows me to hold on to that delusion that, you know what I mean, that things will always be better. Like things can always get better, and that I'll always be able to get to the next level. So, you know what I mean? I don't think, and when I say delusion, I don't mean that it's an unhealthy thing or it's not a good thing. I think sometimes you have to have that delusion in order to stay true to your path, in order to keep trucking forward when everybody else is telling you you should stop, you should not do this. Oh yeah, it's never going to work. You know what I mean? And you should, that slight delusion will allow you to keep on your path, because nobody can really see or understand what you see. They don't have the same vision as you. They don't have the same path as you. So sometimes you got to be able to, stay true to your delusion in order to keep moving forward.
Mo, what you got? How's being a pessimistic realist benefit you?
So for one, I wouldn't categorize myself as being a pessimistic realist, but for me, man, like I said, I can only call it from my vantage point, and from my vantage point, it allowed me to still become the man that I always wanted to be, regardless of circumstance. Um, I mean, just there's nothing that's ever come across my plate that where I was like, it's over. I might as well give up. And because of that, I haven't been able. I don't get too high and I don't get too low. I stay pretty even keeled, and at the end of the day, I'm pretty steady. And I don't really enjoy the kind of the highs and lows. I'd rather just kind of stay on that path or whatever. But I think a lot of what you guys are talking about, it reminds me of a book I read a long time ago. It was called The Secret. And what it's speaking about, it was speaking about the law of attraction. And I totally believe in positive thoughts bring positive energy back, because positive, if you believe in energy, it'll attract that. However, without action, because if you believe in energy, you also believe in science, because you're going to have energy to move towards that as well. Staying still isn't going to do that. And I think that's the part where delusion gets in the way of optimism. And that's the part that I think that's where I just can't rock with that. So, and that's actually something that Prime speaks about in his book. He's like, even when times are bad, he says he never has a bad day. He just has bad moments. And he says he never stops moving. So things get bad, he starts moving. I remember when we used to play ball back in the day, they would always say, if you're going to make a mistake, make it going 100 miles an hour. And that's why, because you don't compound it by feeling bad for yourself and stuff like that. So always being resilient and being able to understand that there's going to be things that happen that I didn't want to happen, but it doesn't derail me and it doesn't change my end destination. That's how it's allowed me to get to where I wanted to be and be the man that I wanted to be.
Smooth.
Hey man, being a pessimist realist, man. Honestly, man, I feel like it gives me a soft reset on my life every day, man. Like when I wake up in the morning, man, first thing I do is I thank God for guiding me through the night, waking me up. And the second thought I have, man, I got another chance to make it happen. You know what I'm saying? And that's the pessimistic in me. Like today might be the day that all my goals that I set out for myself, the ability to walk away from this job with my head up and do my own thing, gonna happen today. But at the end of the day, if it don't happen, I'm real about it. You know what I'm saying? I know why it didn't happen. I didn't put the work in. I didn't make the phone calls I'm supposed to do. You know what I'm saying?
So are you saying you're an optimist?
No, man. Yeah, I'm an optimist more than pessimist. Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, that's that. Being a pessimist is saying like,
Yeah, you did, but you did say pessimist. But I mean, I think I'm only a pessimist to my family, man. You know
He said a pessimist. He said he's a pessimist to his family.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? That's to them, man. But everything else, man, it'll be okay, man.
Hey, that's hilarious. Like y'all stay over there in Mississippi. Y'all ain't never coming out. HD.
Yeah, man, that's funny, bro. Hey, the reason why I'm a realist is because my journey to becoming who I am has been a real one. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is like life has really happened to me. And if, for example, the worst thing that's ever happened to me is losing my wife, right? And the moment that I lost her, I could have been optimistic or pessimistic, right? But I had to be real in that moment because what ended up happening at that moment is that I thought I was going to die as well because of the adrenaline and also the fear at the same time, just the doubt of things. So it was a lot of things going on. But once I gained the thought of that, I got to stay here for my kids and I had to get better for my kids, right? I'm being real about the situation and understanding that I got to operate at a different level than most people. So so that's the worst. But if you go all the way back to when I was a younger kid, I mean, 2 years old, I had to have surgery on my hand, and so I was going to be left-handed, but I had to get one of my fingers amputated, right? So I had to get surgery on my fingers when I was 2, and then I had to get one amputated when I was like 12 or 13. So it's always been something that happened in my life that I had to overcome. And so for me, that's why I say I don't get too high unless I'm hooping or something like that. I'm beating up my kids in sports or something like that. I get excited because I'm talking noise, but I typically make sure that this is the moment that's going to happen, and I got to keep a level head because I don't know when if I get too high, then I mean I got to come right back down. And if I get down, I mean I got to come right back up. And so I would prefer not to be a part of that equation, right? Even the point of when I'm having a conversation with my wife, I don't want to say anything too crazy where I'm gonna have to come back and apologize for it, because I'm arrogant in that way. I don't like apologizing. You know what I'm saying? So I even in the argument or discussion, I'm trying to keep it real to the point of where I don't have to come backwards. Or if I'm trying to when I'm making a decision, I want to make sure that it's a solid decision. Even though you said more better, you want to make it quickly. There are some decisions you just can't make quickly, right? You got to take your time and process, and then make sure you're like, okay, yes, my wife wants this, but is it does it make sense to do just because she wants it? Or my kids want this. Does it make sense for me to do this? So for me, that's why I keep it real, because through life, there has been, and through my journey, there have been a lot of moments that if got too low, then it would have been it would have been very challenging for me to come up out of, and vice versa.
Starts. How's being an optimistic realist benefited you?
Um, you know, I think well, I guess like he said, the delusion I guess drives me a little bit because I do feel as though, you know, things will be better, things will always going to progress. So that does keep a little motivation in that way. But um, I don't know. I think I don't like sitting in the the negative per se. I don't think that it benefits me. I think when something negative does happen, I do think it is wise to acknowledge it, understand what's going on with it, and if it's something that can be released, release it. You know what I mean? Because that kind of energy sitting on you, it just doesn't. It just does nothing for you but bring you down. It brings down your energy, brings down your momentum, and it also brings down the energy and momentum of other people around you. So, um, for me, I think it benefits being positive when possible, because people enjoy being around a positive person. They don't want to be around someone where every time you're around them, there's drama, issues, negativity. You know what I mean? Like, that's draining. It's like, a matter of fact, I saw something earlier that was like, you know, put yourself where you can um, get the most energy and provide the most energy for yourself. Um, like using a bad charger, you're not going to keep putting yourself on a bad charger if you're a phone. You know what I mean? You're sitting there, it's draining your energy, it's shorting your phone, it's messing you up. You want to get a good charger. You want to be around people that give you that good charge, that good energy. And I if possible. I like to be that person. You know what I mean? I don't want to be the burden in someone's day. I would rather help get to a solution in someone's day. Um, but that's also the realistic portion of the optimist. Um, I know that everything can't be fixed, but I refuse to think that everything is just as is. You know what I mean? Um, I think that having that kind of energy draws that kind of energy to me. I've had a lot of positive things happen to me just from being that, just being open to opportunities, open to conversations. A pessimistic person would probably shut down a bunch of conversations and opportunities and not even realize it. Someone could be literally sitting there with $1 million waiting to give it, and they don't want to give it to you because you look like you're fuming negativity. So they're going to go down here to this person that's at least not just enjoyable to be around, because I mean anybody can be enjoyable, I guess, but someone that's um, providing positive steps in someone's life, um, with information, with um, personality, with hell, even just an open ear. You don't even have to do anything to be a positive person sometimes, besides just being there, Um, I'd much rather be on that spectrum of things than the stick in the mud, who the hell wants Candace around? You know what I mean? Like,
Facts. Now, I would definitely go. Optimism is a need. It's a necessity. It's like you can't even believe in God, like if you're not an optimist. You know what I mean? Because it for the most part, uh, just the ability, like believing in God, is basically saying, um, I know I'm limited, but because I have God, I can do much more. You know what I'm saying? So you need that optimism even to believe in God. it's the very thing that like pushes the world forward. You know what I'm saying? It's every entrepreneurial story. It's the very thing that pushes technology to new levels. You know what I mean? We got cell phones. You know, nobody thought the cell phones was going to be like this, or any technology, right? The things that we have in our hands at this point, like is very, it comes from an optimistic, everybody we admire, you know what I mean? The Steve Jobs, the Bill Gates, it's all from an optimistic standpoint. You know what I'm saying? So um it I think it really kind of hurts you to be pessimistic in more on a realistic side, because you're going to be stuck not making moves. You can't even move without being optimistic, as Mo mentioned earlier. You got to move. Well, you're not going to move if you're not optimistic. You know what I'm saying? So you it's the very thing that drives you past your own self. You know what I'm saying? So you don't know, like, I feel like if you're not optimistic and you're only relying on your own self talent, or God given ability or whatever, and you're just sticking it there, it you're limiting yourself from getting the most out of your potential. You know what I mean? Like you're doing the very least of what God is giving you, opposed to Him saying He wants you to do absolute more. You're burying the talent, so when He comes back and be like, "What you do with it?" "Oh, I buried it. So I gave you the same thing." You know what I'm saying? And that's not what He wants you to do with it. He wants you to go out and do more. Like every story in the Bible, Moses, like, I can't even speak, and you want me to go do what? You know what I'm saying? So all these different things, but come from us optimist, being optimistic. So you absolutely need it for anything in life, and just to not have it is more of a detrimental, and you're leaving a lot on the table for no apparent reason. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I look at it.
Some so I'm gonna push back a little bit. I think a little bit of all of this stuff is healthy, right? To just be totally optimistic and not have any pessimism, like, because let's be frank, we're having a lot of like first world discussions here, first world problems, because there's some pessimism that keeps us safe, right? Like, if you're just always optimistic and you're, let's say in cave days, or when we were living in caves, well, we were never living. That's another show. We weren't necessarily living in caves, but when people were living in caves, and like that fear, that healthy fear that saber-toothed tiger was out there, and you knew you should only be going out in the daylight because you could see what was coming for you and stuff like that. So some pessimism or some healthy fear is okay. Like I have that discussion with my daughter a lot, like, because she hasn't grown up the way I grew up, her optimism is like, so I don't want to like dim her light, but I'm also like, hey, you have to put in the work, and you also have to understand that there are hurdles and there's roadblocks that could potentially come up, and let's hope for the best, but plan for the worst just in case those things come up. So I don't want to tell the masses that it's all about, everything needs to be on the realist to the optimism spectrum. There needs to be a little bit of healthy pessimism, and you need to understand that bad things are going to happen. So, and I know, so Vic, I know that, like, I know, because I've known you long enough. Like, you literally, like, I remember I used to have a dog. You remember Uno? Like, y'all were like, in a previous life, you were Uno. Like, he would just chase his nose. Like, and I'm like, okay, well, when one of these barracudas or coyotes bite you somewhere, you gone. But I'm like, I build you a fence for a reason, to keep you safe. And I think sometimes, yeah, right, because you're a wanderer. But because of that, I think that there's a healthy, and hopefully, like, you never come into a scenario where you're like, oh, I shouldn't have did that. But because of who I am and what I've seen, I have a healthy level of pessimism. But it never paralyzes me to the fact that I stop moving.
I think it's like, because of who I am and what I've seen, I'm not scared of any problems that might be out there, and I feel like I can handle any problem that might come up. You know what I'm saying? So I lay more of that. Like, I'm pushing forward, and if the worst happen, I feel I'm strong enough, confident enough, smart enough, whatever, to overcome whatever issue came up and keep moving. So that's why I'm not really. I have no business on the pessimistic side, because I feel within myself I have the ability to overcome anything negative. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
that's part of the illusion I was talking about.
but it's not delusion for me, because that's what's worked for me.
No,
You
but
know
it
what I'm
is,
saying?
because
So
sometimes, because of that optimism, you're going to put yourself in dangerous situations because you weren't real enough to be like, this is a bad decision. Like, so don't admit to anything, but how many times do people drink and drive because they were optimist? I can do it. Like, and I know you're slap drunk. Like, go get an Uber. How about that? Like, I think there's a level of too much optimism where I can make it home. All I got to do is get on the highway and then it's a straight shot. Like, there needs to be a healthy level of everything. And I know balance is a certain thing that, you know, a lot of people shun balance. I remember I read Kobe's book on the Mamba mentality. He shunned balance because he was like, I don't strive for balance. I strive for excellence, I think is what
he got to be, and he became Kobe because of it.
But and you see how that turned out. I don't.
What you mean?
I don't want to be. So I don't want to be.
So, he be the best NBA player of all time.
So okay. So would you rather? So do you want to be the best basketball player of all time? Go through what he went through in Colorado, and then become, I guess, a young corpse. I can't remember how old he was. Versus maybe being on a little on the safer side and living to see your grandkids.
What's my favorite album of all time? Hold on, Mo.
Like,
what's my favorite album?
Get on a helicopter.
Hold on. What's my favorite album of all time?
What? Reasonable Doubt.
Reasonable Doubt. Right. Jay-Z said in that album, "I'd rather live enormous than die than die. Well, rather die enormous than live dormant." That's and I've adopted that from the time I've heard it. Like, what's the point of being just the bare meek of yourself? Like, that's corny to me.
And then how could you say that anything that what you said about Kobe? Like, it was safer to take a helicopter than to drive.
Well, not in the fog. They had a report. They told him it was this, like bad weather in the fog, and they shouldn't take it. And he said, "No, I'm going to make it.
We can make it. So I'm Kobe."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the point. Not that just the helicopter ride in itself. It was taking the helicopter ride in those conditions.
Okay. Possibly.
I didn't know anything about that, but
yeah, I didn't know about that.
I'd rather live the life of Kobe and die young,
because
than to do the bare minimum and live to 100. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's
because you're supposed to be here to make a mark. That's what you're supposed to do. I mean, even in Kobe's death, he's still speaking. You know what I'm saying? My late wife, right? She died at 38, and she's very well spoken of, whether it's through me or through our 4 kids or the women that she mentored at our church. So it doesn't matter. Like, if she would have lived dormant with her life, then nobody would have been affected by her. So it's not a matter of age, because Jesus died at 33.
Right. So can't there be any middle ground? Like, why does it have to be crash out, die young, or I was a hermit? Like, why can't it be that you had somewhere in between? Like, because clearly I didn't live dormant, but I'm also not a crash out either. So I think there needs to be a healthy balance.
You're not making a difference, and so you're designed to make a difference in somebody's life. So if you're dormant, then you can't do that. Right?
And I think that's my point. So I think there's levels to this. I'm overly optimistic and I'm willing to crash out for greatness, or I'm a calculated risk taker.
You ever heard the statement that you shoot for the I think it's you shoot for the stars,
shoot for the star, and you might hit the moon. Yep.
Right.
I tell my daughter that all the time.
Okay, then you're telling her to be an optimist.
Right, but at the same time, there's some pessimism in the statement, because just in case I don't hit the stars, the moon's still a good place to land.
It doesn't make sense.
It makes 100%.
The reason why it doesn't make sense.
If you aim for the moon and you don't make it, you're not even going to make the moon. You only made it to the moon because you went for the stars.
Yeah, absolutely. You shoot high. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You shoot high. The way that you can raise your kids how you want to, obviously. But to say that there's pessimism in the statement, that's not true. What you're saying is you need
realism. Maybe I'll say that there's some realism.
Yeah, realism versus pessimism. Pessimistic means that you're thinking the worst case, and that's what's going to happen most times. That's what pessimism means. Okay. And the
So
worst
I
thing,
don't want to derail this conversation too far. So if y'all remember the spaceship Challenger, so I know the dude, one of the black dudes who died on it, right? They never even thought about that they were gonna die. Like because he had two kids. So the guy that I know, he's like my age, and then his sister was like 2 years older than him. He had just all this optimism, and he never even thought about this is the last time I'm going to see my kids, and because he wanted to be the first, whatever, and that's great. But hindsight being 2020, and I don't want to speak for him because I mean I just don't. But I would imagine, or I'll put it this way: his kids would rather them grow up with their father than him be taught about in history books. That would be my guess. And he still would still have an impact to them, but he may not have an impact to aspiring black astronauts.
What I'm saying is that there's no way to know when you're going to die, though. Like you don't know when. Like you're taking a chance just walking out the house. You feel me? So, like for example, you're using your example, right? And I'm using mine. Like my kids, they range from 5 to 14, right? They lost their mother almost 3 years ago, right? And so the way that they live their life is that they like one of my sons, he's like, every time I think about mom, I'm smiling because I remember what she did for me and what she taught me, right? And so that will always be with them, the things that she and how she nurtured them. Like so even though she's not here any longer, I'm sure she, I would rather, all of us would rather her be here, right? But then also again, I wouldn't also have the life that I live. I wouldn't also have the story that I have as well, right? So the experiences in which we live or get to live, then it's also a part of our testimony to help somebody else. So if you are saying that I'm just going to live dormant, I'm going to be pessimistic at some point, then it's hard to dig out of pessimism. I mean, if we can go there, I mean, black people are always in pessimism. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why the culture is where it is now, is because of pessimism. Yes. Go ahead. You have a thought on it?
I wouldn't say that.
I want you to finish your statement. I wouldn't say
that's the reason why the culture is where it is.
But let him finish first, because he may land this plane.
Okay. So, for example, poverty is the worst. Single families is the most. Single. Sorry, I put it like this: single men and women are the most in our community. Abortion is the most in our community. We are at the bottom of pretty much of every category, except for we make money in hip hop, and then we don't even make money in hip hop. People are telling rappers and people in the industry what to do so that we will buy it and keep us in the same poverty mindset and victim mentality, which is pessimism.
Okay, so definitely didn't land where I thought it was going to land. But here's what I'll say. Like, I agree with, we are at the bottom rung collectively. Let's say that collectively, because there's a lot of people that do well, but collectively, for whatever reason, we are, at the bottom rung and stuff. But I actually differ. I don't believe it's because of pessimism. I believe it's because of too much optimism. We always think someone's going to come save us, and we're not willing to do the work ourselves and do the things and have the delayed gratification to get us out of the situation we're in. So I come at it from a different angle. Is I think we have way too much optimism, because I'll put it to you this way: if there was ever to be, let's say, in the next election cycle, they turn off all these social programs and there is no help coming, I don't know there's going to be a certain sector of our community that is going to be up the creek, as they call it, because
I don't think so. I think the optimism in the community will push us forward to overcome whatever's going on, like we've done for ages.
I agree with Mo, man. They're gonna be looking for a savior, dog, and we ain't got one, man. Ain't nobody come and get us, man. It's gonna be on us.
I think sitting and waiting for a savior is pessimism.
Yes.
Ooh,
So a majority of our community are pessimistic.
Yes.
but it's so
If
so,
you think
and I know you
somebody,
guys are much more
maybe
religious than I
optimism
am.
means that you are going to do something about your situation, and you believe that you can do something about your situation. Pessimism is that you think somebody else is the reason why you where you
No,
are.
and I believe that I'm gonna have to do it along with this man over here doing it.
That's
Together, we
optimism.
can do
That's
it together.
optimism. That's optimism.
No, I'm saying that's what I mean. I'm on that.
Right.
But I don't think the majority of our community is optimistic.
If the government shut the black
I don't believe that
community's
we're
water off,
pessimistic, is what I said.
that we would I think the majority of us will become heavily optimistic, and people will get inside their right mind and start going.
I don't think so.
We're dormant because we're pessimistic.
I don't.
Oh,
I
I
don't
can't do this. You know the white man hold me down. They not gonna let me get this job. They not gonna let me do this. Oh, I can't do this. I got a 3rd grade reading level. I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? It's that they're not gonna let us out these walls. We're gonna live and die in these projects. We're gonna die on these streets. Like that's pessimism. That's why we not moving.
No, I'm saying, but I think a majority of people think like that.
I think we're not moving because of individualism. And I think y'all want to keep glossing over it, and y'all want to act like everybody's pulling themselves up by their own bootstraps, but they're not. Since the beginning of time, these other groups have been getting help, been getting these so-called social programs that Mo's talking about, that predominantly he's gearing towards the black poor community, but every community benefits from social programs, from the retirees to the veterans to, I mean, just everybody in America and other countries benefit from America's social programs. Israel's benefiting from social programs. You know what I mean? So, like, I don't need, like, individualism is what's tearing up the black community, because we think we have to do it on our own. When our kids turn 18, we're saying, hey, it's time for you to get out the house and learn how to do it on yourself. I said it, and I've said it here before, and I'll say it again. Group economics is the only way. Starting to think like a collective instead of individuals is the only way that we're going to be able to get out of this thing. Because if we were holding each other accountable, we could then go back to our community and say, hey, look, you know what I mean? This is where you're falling short. You know, this is what you need to do. This is how you get there. And instead of most people, you know what I mean, when they come from a bad situation or a bad community and they get a leg up, they leave the community. You know what I mean? And they don't come back. Or if they come back, they come party, and then they, you know what I mean, they dip out. They're not pulling nobody else up. They're not showing nobody the game. They're not mentoring anybody. They're not trying to teach anybody how to get to the next step. So I think that's the biggest thing holding back our community, is this individualist ideology.
And that is pessimism. Even still, that's pessimism. Individuality is pessimism, because they don't believe that they can help. They don't believe that people can change. That's pessimism. That's not being optimistic.
I mean, you can spin it how you want to spin it. I think being individualist is not thinking about anything. You're just thinking about yourself. You know what I mean?
Right.
You just want to win on your own, be damned about anybody else.
Pessimistic. That's if it. How is that like? So okay, so I read this book every 3 to 4 years, and it's called the Miseducation of the Black Folks or whatever, right, by Carter G. Woodson. So it was written in the 1930s, and the educated, or in the book they called the boule N words, right? So they were the ones that they had money and they were educated and stuff like that, and they would look down on the ones who weren't educated, and it still goes on today. That's why I reread it, to kind of keeps me grounded. So by no means is, at least from my perspective, it's not pessimistic at all, because they believe they did it on their own. It's because they had delayed gratification and they put in the work. They pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. A lot of times it was just they got the right opportunity, and they believe those people, like, oh, if they just worked harder, they would be able to make something shake. But sometimes they just don't. No matter how hard they work, they just might not get the opportunity to actually pull themselves out of what it is. And if you're not going to give that opportunity, that's why they're saying, oh, no. Nah. So if anything, they're pessimistic about the collective group, but they're always optimistic about themselves. There you go, the miseducation of the Negro. Like, they believe that they're optimistic about their own endeavors and their own results, but maybe the people under them, or that they perceive are under them, they're pessimistic about their future. But that doesn't make them a pessimist. That just makes them think they're elite and they're better than you. That doesn't make them pessimistic. They just think that you're not.
That still makes them pessimistic, because if they was optimistic, they would believe in themselves that they can help somebody else.
But they don't want to. Like, they don't even want to,
because they don't believe it'll be beneficial. They don't think that they can. They don't think that whoever they try to go help will even absorb the information to bring them up.
Okay, well here's the realest part of the show. You go back, you go to Hawkins Village, you go live there, and you fix all them. How about that? Can you do that?
Hey, you can, but you ask them one question or tell them one statement. You tell them what we got to do as a community. And the ones that say, well, black people can't work together, those are the ones you can't save. The ones that ask you, how can we do this? Those are the ones that are willing to be saved and work with you, man. So
I agree.
I don't believe in wasting time on the ones that we can't save, dog.
Yep,
Everybody
I
can't
agree.
go, player.
So
Everybody can't go.
in all honesty, I've tried, and Leifer can attest to this. Did I not come back and try to start a STEM program in Rankin? I've
Okay.
actually tried. So it's not a matter of, it's because I believe that my tech, what I know, and if I gave it to the people that I grew up around, it could all help them pull themselves out. So yes, I am optimistic about that.
So how many scientists came out of that, and how many pulled themselves out of it?
Look, that's not my problem, but I created the opportunity.
And that's
what I'm optimistic enough
realism.
to create the opportunity. They were pessimistic enough to be like, "Oh, I don't know how to do that." I even tried to start it back with the high school football programs. I had a whole program set up where kids could win $10,000. None of the coaches got the kids to sign up. That's not me. I presented the opportunity because I believe I can help. That's the community being pessimistic, saying, "Oh, I don't even know." That's what I heard from one of the coaches, like, "Oh, I don't even know what a hackathon is," so I didn't even present it to the kids. And I'm like, what?
And it's a probability versus a possibility versus a probability thing. And I think, and sometimes in Leifer's point, the whole individualistic side of us to think that they want to be us. What if they look at your life and be like, "That's a lot of work for not a lot of payoff. I'm good off that. Like you ain't able to pop bottles. Don't nobody know your name. Like maybe that's the case. So sometimes you have to meet people where you are.
It's pessimistic. Individualism is pessimistic. That's the worst case scenario. That's what pessimism is. I think that we're not using the definitions. Some of us are not using it correctly. It's a negative connotation. That's what pessimism is. Individualism, yes, most Black people are very individualistic, right? But that and to some degree, there's a reason. I mean, they have it's a realistic reason of why, right? So I'm in education, okay, and this is where I'm able to see it on the ground on the ground of how we are wired as a people, and the place where I'm at now is probably 92% Black people, right? And so what it is that I see is that the kids are not willing to learn because most of the teachers are not equipped to teach a particular concept, because the teacher is concerned about that the administration is not doing their job. Administration is like, they need to do their job because they work here. Kid is like, okay, well, my teacher don't care. Why should I care? So there's an individualistic approach that's coming down the pipe, when in fact, what should happen is, even though the administration may not be doing their job, doesn't mean that the teachers can't get on board and do their job. Just because the administration or the teachers not doing their job, parents can still hold their kids accountable. You see what I'm saying? So it's a lot of people that are complaining about somebody else and not trying to work collectively. So that's a pessimistic mindset. The reason why, like I said, the culture in which we live as Black people, the reason why we don't do well is, number one, we don't value God in the way that we should. Number two, we definitely don't think that marriage is the remedy when it is, as it relates to the wealth gap. Okay, that's been put into TED Talks, that's been studied over and over again. So, and then the music that you listen to matters, the food that you eat matters. These things matter. There are several different podcasts that you Earn Your Leisure is over 1 million some subscribers. They talk about how to earn money all the time. What is it? Sleep is for Suckers. He talks about it all the time. It is information out here that we can gather to build wealth, but it got to start with family first. And Black people in general do not look at it like that. You single, because you single and I'm single and I'm gonna just be single. When marriage is one of the main reasons of financial wealth.
Hey, Steve, can you explain that, please? Because I get the food you intake, I get the music, but how does marriage gain financial wealth? When I feel like a man is supposed to protect and provide, like he's gonna be the breadwinner, but not so to say, but he's gonna do things he's supposed to do for his family.
Yes,
Explain it to me, please.
for sure. In my first marriage, I was the only one that did work, right? And I made around that time probably it ranged from $70,000 to $90,000, right? In between there, my last couple years, it was at 90,000 before my late wife passed, right? And we homeschooled, and so she didn't. That means obviously she didn't work, right? But because of my financial literacy skills, I was able to put together a budget. I'm also educated, so I had a couple different jobs, uh, and I was allowed to just focus on being a provider from a financial standpoint because my late wife, she was tending to the house, right? So even there are guys that think that you have to go 50-50, but that's not necessarily true. You just want to spend a lot of money. That's what it sounds like, right? So the way that it works is that if you are in your natural state, which is to focus on building wealth, and your wife is focused on building the house or maintaining the house, then you're better able to operate to get to a financial freedom, or not financial freedom, because that depends on how you put your money. But as far as your wealth, men make more money when they're married as opposed to when they're single, because they don't have to worry about everything else. Right? They only have to
Trying to be
focus.
out here as a single parent ain't no joke.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like daycare is what $400 a week at this point.
Yes, sir.
And that's not even when I was a single parent, it was $200 a week. But now it's out here ranging $400 for a basic care. More better think about when you had your daughter in daycare and you was
500
like,
a
I
week.
hate this bill.
500 a week, $2,000 a month.
What you
And
think?
look,
And that was for
they gonna get
that was
all
for the what a creme de la creme, right?
Yeah,
What
and
you
that
think
was
it would be
12 years
now?
ago. That was 12 years ago. I bet you right now it's probably double.
That's what I'm saying. It's crazy.
So I had in-house daycare, doctor, nurse, um, cook, clean, you know what I'm saying? Uh, and now with my current wife, you know what I'm saying? It works a, a little bit different because I've taught my kids how to do a lot of things, and she has the freedom of time because she owns a salon, right? So she's able to do things as far as like if something needs to be taken care of, she can do that. But my goal and what I'm able to do now, because I'm married, I'm able to focus on the money aspect of all other things, but specifically, I'm able to focus on the money and how I'm gonna get more, as opposed to trying to figure out when I was single. Okay, my kids got to do this. Okay, I got to get them here. Okay, I got to cook food. I got to do this. So there's so many other moving pieces. So as a man being married, you're going to be able to optimize your opportunities more.
There's a saying. There's a statistic out there that said single men don't buy houses or something like only married men like the reason why
Right. Why
men
would you? Yeah, why
right.
would you?
You know what I'm saying? So even as you know, Mo, like real estate is one of the main reasons on how to become a millionaire, right? So if you're not going to buy land and property, you know what I'm saying? It makes it even harder for you to get a foothold and push the community that much more.
And you don't have to be as responsible with your money as a single dude. You should be, but it's less likely.
And it's also proven that renters don't take care of the property. You know what I'm saying? Don't let trash on. They'll devalue devalue the property. They won't take care of it. They won't cut the grass. They'll leave litter out there. You could tell like what kind of neighborhood you in. As soon as I seen trash in the neighborhood, like I'm in one of them neighborhoods. Like why is there a McDonald's cup on the ground? Like you know what I'm saying? And then you go somewhere where you can basically eat off the sidewalk. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, just off of that alone, that presentation alone, you know who lives there. So
get
how
more
could you
money
find
back in
balance?
taxes.
Right. So how could you? Oh, and then on top of that, like renters are not going to these we talked about it, these government meetings. You know what I'm saying? These local government, standoffs or whatever that, hey, this is going on, that's going on. Renters ain't going to that. But let's talk about balance because it was mentioned a few times. How do you find balance between the three? Leifert.
That's a good question. I don't know that I balance the three. I think for me, it's always a realistic approach first. You know what I mean? And I'm just trying to, see what the actual situation is, assess the situation, and then make decisions based off of that. And then, once I go through that the initial progressions of assessing the situation from a realistic approach, regardless of how negative it is, I'm looking at, like, you know what I mean? I'm trying to be optimistic about it. So I'm probably delving between the realist and the optimism way more. I try not to look at the pessimistic end, although I do see it, and I realize that there is some negative that comes with it, but I try not to look at the negative in that way. I try to just look at the negative through the realistic lens of, this is what's happening, this is what's going on. Now I need to figure out how to fix it, and then I go straight toward the optimistic approach. Like, okay, I know I'm gonna figure this out. I got it from here. So, I don't necessarily try to balance the three. I try to X out the pessimism altogether, but I do try to maintain that realism.
So if I had to say I try to balance it, that would be, to Leifer's point, I would try to err on the side of actually being more realistic, having a realistic approach. And I actually wanted to touch something on something HD said. So my first wife was an educator. So, and for whatever reason, for the last 20 years, I've been involved in some way, shape, or form in education. And I believe, and this is just me, I believe that is the step one to help, because I'm way more optimistic about kids than I am adults, because I feel they're still in their formative years, and we can actually give them the habits that will lead them to be successful. A lot of times adults, I feel that they're just too far gone. So I don't try to necessarily fix them. I'm more worried about actually trying to set up a strong foundation in these kids. And from that perspective, I've always had an issue with it. And I remember at one point I was going to try to go into education. I was going to actually change my career path until I saw like the money. And I was like, wow, there's no money in this. Because there's a couple things that I thought we were coming at it from a very elite approach. Because I actually got to see a neighborhood change. Like I remember it was a lily white school that only had, the way they used to call it, they said it was a fly in the rice. There was only a few of us in this school. And then at some point, I don't know, I guess there was white flight, and then I saw it change within that generation, right? And I remember I didn't even have a kid yet, but I remember going to these meetings, and I used to hear stuff like that. Was because, their parents aren't focused on family and they're a single family household. And I was like, yeah, but I mean, the kid's here now and they don't have a daddy. So the realism of it is, what can we do to solve it and not give them a death sentence because they don't have a daddy? And I remember those were the type of discussions that I used to have. And I'm like, okay, they don't have a daddy. It's not a death sentence. What can we do to fill that void, to help, and to give them the structure and the accountability and the discipline that maybe a prototypical father would provide? And that was a lot of the things that I was like, we weren't meeting the situation where it was. We were saying where we wish it should be. And that's the biggest thing that I always feel. And I struggle with that even internally. I'm like, am I coming at the situation from an elitist point of view? Because yeah, it would be nice if we all had, 2.5 kids and a white picket fence and a dog. I get it. But if that's not the case, that shouldn't be a death sentence, and that shouldn't be the death blow to their future. And I always talk about this because in my work, we deal with a lot of consultants, and I tell them all the time, don't try to give me the off the shelf solution and make it work for me. If I hired you, I want you to customize it to what my actual problem is. So that's the biggest thing that I always have an issue with our education system is it shouldn't be a death sentence, or because the kid's so energetic, they just want to write him off and give him an IEP and say, yeah, he got ADHD. Okay, but does that mean he can't become an engineer later on in life because he didn't have a daddy? And that's the point that I think we need to, instead of we're talking about individualism and stuff like that. I don't mind the individualism, but can we come up with a solution for each individual that'll work for them for whatever success looks like for them? And that's the quandary that I have.
Are you asking me a question? Or are you responding to something I said?
Yeah, I'm responding to something you said when you were talking about education and what's wrong with our community. Yeah, that is wrong. But when it comes to education, because I feel that's the first pillar that's going to help fix us and get us where we need to be.
Hold on.
Okay.
Are you saying education is the first pillar and not marriage?
No. I'm talking about after the fact. Like the kid's already here. He already don't have a daddy. That's what I'm talking about.
You're saying so like, are we just gonna wash him? Like, he don't got a daddy, he's gonna wash.
Right. So now, granted, it would be nice if all these kids actually grew up in a 2-parent household, but that ship has sailed.
Well, I think the next best thing would be she better find a stepdaddy.
Yes.
But that's the next best thing.
Who's signing up for that? And that's the
no, you can't do that.
Up for that?
No, buddy, you can't do that. You ask what is the solution, is what you said.
And that's the solution.
Because there are guys that married. The family is the solution. And we had this conversation last night too, right? So this is the thing. Individuals believe.
I'm bowing out. That would be where I bowed out. That I guess that's the individualism in me. I would bow. I'm like
individualism.
I'm supposed to give up my life. Yeah.
No. I'm not. I mean, but people got situations where it might be. You know what I'm saying? It might make sense for them. Like we ain't nobody perfect. So like if she got kids and this dude got kids and they found some way to make this work,
and they're gonna Brady Bunch it, okay?
And they can Brady Bunch it, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that a dude with no kids should sign up to a situation with a woman with kids.
So Mo, you
I'm not saying that.
Raise another man's kid.
Say that again.
You wouldn't raise another man's kid?
No,
I wouldn't. Mm-mm. Like indirectly, but I'm not gonna sign up for that.
Let me ask you, why? Is that beneath you?
No, it's not beneath me. Yeah, it's not beneath me, but it's very little return on it, right? So for example, so let me preface it then, because this can go viral, and I want to be clear, right? I don't want y'all showing up at my job trying to cancel me. So for example, I had a daughter. I had a daughter through my first marriage, and then when it came time for me to get it, I was single for a while, and then I was looking to get married or whatever, right? And for me, ideally, I didn't think it was a good idea for me to marry somebody with kids. Reason being is every energy, effort, and everything else that I gave to this other child was taking away from mine. And I love mine enough to where I wanted to give her all of me. So I was selfish in that way for me and mine. So who knows? There could have been somebody who came along that would have been the right fit, and it might have made me lessen some of those requirements or some of those preferences, but it wouldn't have been my first choice. No.
I think that's very interesting that you want a solution.
And it's real.
But you want a solution that's actually going to help, but because you don't like it, then you don't want to do it.
That's crazy. I've been married twice, man.
Yeah, I'm not a crash dummy, and I'm not a kamikaze pilot.
That's not what that means. But I'm saying, but you said as a consultant, right? You're giving them the best solution, and then they're going to be like, I don't like it, so I'm not going to do it, even though it's the best solution. That's what you're saying. You're saying I don't. Really,
the best solution for who though?
Like, I can get with if you say, well, it's gonna be hard for me, or I don't think I'm like if she has multiple kids, then I can because that means unless she had what if she had multiple kids with the same dude? You know what I'm saying? Like that's a different type of woman. When she was married and then something happened as a result of that, right? So I'm saying that you would be part of the problem in the Black community, because if you're saying
that's fair,
the family is the central point of why we are where we are. If you go back to the 1960s and before, if you go back into slave days, we right after, I mean, we were married at a high clip. Yep. We were married more than
82% until 1975.
Right. So
hey, that's funny how it's the opposite now.
Correct.
Because the father was replaced with the social programs that were
I'm just how similar the number.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. It was intentional, right? And so
Mhm.
even though you know that that's
Mhm.
going to be a better solution, you're willing to bypass the better solution to make yourself feel good.
And it's not to feel good. It's I'm not willing
No,
to.
you said it. You said that it
Mhm.
makes you feel like you said that you want to give your energy to your daughter. That
Right.
means you feel better.
Did I feel better? And it's not. It's that I give her the better solution. I'm
Correct.
not
That
willing
means
to
you
take away
feel
from
better.
her.
Right. That means you feel better.
But it's more than
Opposed
just
to
feel because
what would be the
there's
opposite?
tangible effects of it.
What's you said tangible effects of it?
Yeah, it's not just a feeling, it's tangible. There I will be pouring less into my daughter by
If
doing
you
more.
had if you had another daughter or son with the same woman, what would be different?
That's the question I'm looking for right there.
What would be different?
Because they're mine. So okay, here let me put it to you this way. So let's say I did marry, I guess a woman that had kids or whatever, right? And
Yeah.
then I was in the picture and I raised them from 5 up until right. And
Yeah.
then when it came time, they were ready to get married, and they were like, okay, well, I'm the one because I'm the one that was middle class or whatever, and I was the one that was paying for the wedding. But when it came time to take them down the aisle, they were like, uh, I want my real dad to take me down the aisle.
That could
How
be a
does that?
thing where you shouldn't have got
Yeah,
divorced.
No, it could be. It
You
would
shouldn't
but
never
have
that's
got
the
happen.
thing.
divorced
Why am I? Yeah, but why am I coming into that?
because you
Why would
chose
I
to be
willingly put
you
myself
chose
into
not
that?
to marry. You chose not to stay married to the mother of your kid.
No, I'm talking about in reverse. Whereas the stepdaughter is getting married. The stepdaughter is getting married, even though I raised her, and she wants her biological father to take her down the aisle.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm going all the way back. It
Uh huh.
becomes an option because you didn't stay married.
Okay. So I almost says okay.
But can I say this
Okay.
though?
Okay.
Can I say this? I hear people say a lot of times about raising a stepdaughter, then they want in their big moments, they want the biological father to come in the picture.
Mhm.
Now, a lot of stuff about that situation we don't know. Or is the biological father still in the picture? Because I've been married twice and I had a stepchild from both situations. The stepdaughter from the first, stepson from the second. I get more respect from they respect me more than their biological fathers. That's what,
I
man,
love it. I love
and
it.
for you to say, like, you can do it, like, and that didn't take nothing from my kids. Because I'm still, you know what I'm saying? So with all four of them, two biological, two step, you know what I'm saying? I'm still there. I still got to
I love
raise
it.
mine. I still get a
I mean, you still ran the risk, and it's because you're a little bit more optimistic about the situation.
I love it.
You know what I'm saying?
no,
That
no, and I
you
did.
was
I did.
able to
Because
gain that respect from
e-
the other
Mm-hmm.
children.
but the thing, even with my stepson, who's older than everybody else, he's 24 now. He didn't realize what I meant to him or what I was doing to him until he got grown. Now we
Mm-hmm.
can have those conversations. Like, yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
was a struggle growing up, but I never would turn my back on him. Now, behind his back, I would cuss his ass out. You know what I'm saying? But I wouldn't give up in his face. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I fought to let him know that I cared about him. But now, as he got grown, he realized, okay, this dude really got my back. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. All fair points. I'm just, I was speaking my truth. Don't cancel me.
And it's your truth.
No, I'm
It's
talking to the
your
world.
truth is just wrong. That's all it is. That's
You know,
what
it's wrong for
Wait,
the
who questioned the
collective.
difference between your truth and the actual truth earlier?
What was it that
I
Starks,
did.
right?
I asked that question.
Oh,
Oh
okay.
yeah. Starks haven't said anything in a while. I don't want to leave her hanging. How do you find balance between the three, Starks?
Good question. Honestly, it's hard. I think really just taking the time to stop and look at the scenario. I guess is where the realistic, portion is. Like, look at it what it is. If someone tells you they are something, or um, if someone tells you they are something, believe it. Or if they show you, not even tell you, because people will tell you anything, but if they show you, that they are something, believe it. If you see a scenario enough times, you learn. I think part of life is the learning. Um, and that's where I find my balance. Um, I don't like to sit in the negativity, but at the same time, I would be retarded. I don't know if you're supposed to say retarded anymore, but I'd be retarded if I didn't pay attention to the information
You're
that
canceled.
that I know. You know what I mean? Yes, I would be special needs if I didn't. If someone was literally, if someone showed me all the time, like no matter what, they tell me they're an amazing person, but every time they come around, they're inconsistent. They're late. If every single day someone comes in and they're late every single day, it would be silly of me to think like, well, tomorrow they're going to be on time. No, tomorrow they're going to be late. But I'm going to be okay with that because I know that's what that is. You know what I mean? I know the information that I know, so it allows me to digest it in a realistic, rational way and move forward with that information. You know what I mean? So um, instead of me being mad that, damn, they're late again, it's like, well, I just know that's who they are, and I'm going to move forward with that information one way or the other. Whether it be I'm going to move forward with it and continue to work with or meet up with this person, or hey, I just know that's who they are, and it's not even the pessimistic sense of it. It's just I know who they are, so I'm not going to expect anything different from that scenario. It's so for me, it's learning and processing. Learning and processing helps me figure out my balance. Um, you know.
So yeah,
Man,
man,
I hate Humble Dad left though.
yeah, um, yeah,
Because that spoke to because his oh
Yeah,
there you go.
look,
So
look.
yes.
I got a
Look,
little time.
look, I want to start to get hers off, but so I'm being measured in how I say this. So
You don't have to be careful. I
you
can handle
do. No, it's not necessarily it's always gonna be respectful, so it's not nothing like that. But
No,
um
I'm not
but
easily offended, so please say your thing.
no, it's nothing towards y'all. It's just being measured in how I say this. Like so for example, I just feel that like we spoke about before is the lack of accountability in our community is part of the problem, and that's why we're always thinking that someone's going to come save us. So by not having the family and keeping that family in place the first time, someone's always going to come back and pick up those pieces, and that's the part that I believe in accountability, and I believe in seeing the situation for what it is and acting accordingly. So it might not be what's best for the community for me to be in the word that I was like for me to come and do sanitation work, but at the same time, I just don't like it's not what's best for me, and that's what I was like. I'm not willing to do that.
Why is it not best for
Wait,
you?
did you just say?
I didn't
He
do
did
crazy, man.
Did you just say that was sanitation work? What I think you're saying is sanitation.
You're
work?
clean. You're just being. You're cleaning up. You're cleaning up somebody else's mess.
Yeah.
So
Crazy, man.
because we were just saying that in the school system we were saying that the ideal situation would have been that they did it this way, and I'm saying I agree, but we're past that now. That kid's here. They
We're
don't have a
past
day.
that now, but then when I gave you a solution, you was like, "No, that ain't it," because it don't feel well. It don't feel good to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying you want a solution, but it got to feel good to you.
No, what I'm saying is I disagree with that. That's the best solution for
You can't
everybody involved.
But
Like
are you?
so, for example, what I'm
are
saying
you
is that's not
you're
my best
disagreeing
solution.
based on your feelings, though. You're not disagreeing with the facts.
The facts of my life.
No, that's a feeling.
So how? Okay, so we have 133. So look, so how does that benefit me?
How does what benefit you?
Me coming in.
Marriage is not about you.
So what is it about?
It's about building family.
Right. So if I go and get a woman that doesn't have kids and we build our own family, that would be ideal, correct?
If that so happens to, if that happens, yes. But you literally said, I am going to X out her because she.
Well, no, I'm just saying it wasn't my preference. That's all. It's just not my preference.
What's different than what I'm saying? You X'd it out, right?
Okay.
So
Okay. Fine. So
you said it because now let me. It may come from a different perspective. Okay. So do you believe in the Bible?
I do. I do, but I'm not very religious by no means. No.
Just because you believe in the Bible don't make you religious, right? So what
Okay.
I'm saying is, like, if do you follow Christ?
I do.
That's your that's where you land. That's your foundation. Then you would have to look at things very differently,
Okay.
right? And so this is me holding you accountable, right?
Uh-huh.
You okay? So there were several stepdaddies in the Bible,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
okay, and
I
one
concur.
of the main ones was Joseph,
Yep.
you know, and I think Jesus still looked at him as his earthly father,
Mm-hmm.
showed great respect for him still, right? So what I'm saying is that for you to say that that is you cleaning up something, when I guess that would mean you feel the same way about the mother of your child. That if a man comes along, then he's cleaning up your mess. Do you feel the same?
Potentially, yes, I do. Yes.
So you created a problem, and somebody has to fix your problem, but you're not willing to, I'm using your terminology.
Mm-hmm.
You're not willing to come along and help somebody else do what
So,
did
right.
somebody.
So to that point, I never
That
left the trash. I never left anything to be cleaned up. I'm very much involved in, I mean, I actually have my daughter full time, right? So if anything, there is no mess to clean up because I owned my own mess. And I hate that we're even calling it mess, but
you called it that.
right. But that's what I'm saying. But that's what I feel. That like, but I mean, that's not the ideal situation. It's not.
Right.
It
So
just isn't.
right. It's not the ideal situation. So that's good that she's with you, right? So that's a bonus, but she's not with her mother and father, which
Mhm.
creates a totally different dynamic, right? So
Mhm.
and you are a part of the reason why it no longer happens. So you,
Mhm.
along with your ex-wife, created an unstable environment for your current daughter,
Mhm.
right?
Correct.
But you're saying that in order to make it right, I'm going to go find somebody else that doesn't have a kid because I feel like that's what's better for me.
Or to not cross contaminate mess.
And so what I'm saying is that what I'm saying is that if you're saying that you operate from a biblical perspective, you're not in the right position. That's what I'm saying.
And that's fair. And that's fair. We all fall short of the glory of God. And I'll accept that.
Yes, but it's important for us to have once we know better, we got to do better. So hopefully as you go research that your mindset changes from that.
Mhm.
Not that you're going to go get a new wife or nothing like that, but
Yeah, because I already did. It's too late. So
right. But to say that statement again would be outside, I would say would be out of line with the text. That's all.
Yep.
So I only like to keep y'all for an hour. This was a good one. We got more to discuss if you want to stick around, but hey, HD, I appreciate you sticking by, man. We're going to talk a little bit about football. I don't think you know anything about that.
You crazy. But I gotta go though. You know what I'm saying? But I would.
I appreciate you, man.
So man, appreciate you as always.
See you Monday.
That's a bet.
What do y'all think about this new NFL rule, man?
No, I'm just no. Hold on.
You still
Boy.
You don't piss smooth off, Mo. You don't piss smooth off, man.
More better. So me,
What's the rule? I missed it.
I'm waste management now, right? I'm waste management now. I'm a sanitation worker.
Okay. Boy, I had to hit somebody's soft spot, but okay.
Hey, I'm gonna roll with it, dog. Hey,
Yeah, okay.
Hey, I'm gonna roll with it. Hey, guess what? I'm gonna make that viral, dog. That's what we doing. We clean up trash, dog. I got it. We cool.
Waste management. Okay.
You good? You good with being waste management? Did you have a question with it?
Hey man, I'm good with it.
Or you just want to accept the new title?
I got accepted, dog. You know what I'm
he just wanted to declare. He just wanted to declare.
I'm keeping America clean, baby. You know what I'm
saying? No, so I guess there's two new rules that are popular. I mean, I think there's more. But they changed the kickoff, and they changed tackling. How y'all feel about how you feel about the kickoff first?
What they changed the kickoff to? I couldn't really.
It's kind of like the XFL
format.
Yeah.
So
they're going to line up. They're going to line up. I think like
5 yards apart.
Yeah. And there's no more edge or stuff like that. So everybody's going to be like, 5 yards away from each other, and then you got a return man and a kicker, and then they kick it off, and then because it brings the return man back into the game. So I love it.
Yeah. I like it too.
Return man, like I was like, man, I was with the old format. I was like, there's no way.
Well,
I like
when the XFL did it. I remember we was talking about it. Like,
yeah, I thought I never thought the NFL would adopt it. I would have never thought the NFL would adopted it. So I like it. And then us being Steeler fans and all, man, we went and got Cordero Patterson.
That's your
for
guy.
For a long time. Time. The con man did it again. I love it.
Yeah, he's hard. Oh, and the other rule is the tackling rule, which I like that. I like that rule.
What was that one?
What you mean?
That they added that rule.
Oh yeah, they took it out. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so the way they tackle a guy, you can't tackle a guy and kind of just sag your body and like land on his legs.
Like, I understand.
Make a
I understand why.
Say that again.
It has to be like a legit tackle. Like they have to be down by the full tackle. It can't just.
Well, you have to. Yeah. So the way I read it is, you have to like tackle. Use your shoulder, grab, wrap, drive your legs, and use that to tackle a guy, opposed to jumping on his back and going for a ride. And
just dragging down.
How many flags they gonna throw on?
Made me think about your story. You got about that dude from Grove City that you said. That's
exactly. RJ Bowers.
Yeah.
RJ. Look, so my freshman year, man. So a guy, man, I was 17 years old. He was about 28. So he had a whole professional baseball career. He had a whole professional baseball career before he got to me. And he was I don't know, like 30 yards away from breaking the all-time rushing record in NCAA. So I'm playing corner opposite side of the field, and I don't know, 150, and that might be even pushing it. He's 235, grown man. He gets the ball, he runs away from me, so I'm able to run him down. I'm all hip tackle. That was the only way I was gonna get him down, man. I jumped on his leg, and I'll never forget the power that I felt. Like, so I jumped on his leg, and he lifted me with his leg, like I was on the leg extension. And I was like, the only way I'm gonna get this dude down and not be on Sports Center or shacked in a fool is if I hip tackle this dude. And that's exactly what I did. I wrangled, if you ever watch a rodeo, man, I just wrangled him down, and I kind of, put my weight on the back of his leg.
Yeah.
Now, luckily, he didn't get hurt, because that's not my intent. I don't want anybody to get hurt. But man, it makes it very hard for the defense, man. All these rules that limit how they are going to play. It makes it very difficult.
So basically, it's just going to be hard to tackle from behind now.
Yeah.
So like, you can't horse collar up top, and like this is almost like a horse collar but down low, almost, if that makes sense. Like, you can't do that now. And good luck.
I like that rule.
I bet you do.
Like, that's, what I mean? Like, you got to face me head on. You got to make a good tackle. Come on, let's go. Yeah, I would have loved that 20 years ago.
Yeah, so. Yeah, but it is, I like it. I think that, it makes the game safer, and, I'm glad for that. But at the same time, man, as somebody who played defense, I'm like, man, this is, you're kind of tying, you're tying the defenders one arm behind their back, because they can't hit too high. They can't, now you can't hit too low. Like, it becomes difficult. Like, and I want everybody to be safe, and I want everybody to be able to play for a long time. But you are making it very difficult as a defender to try to, do whatever their job is, and that's to get the ball carried on the ground.
Right. But I think the Steelers is going to the Super Bowl this year, baby.
I don't know. We ain't gonna be. I don't know. We can't hip tackle on Derrick Henry.
You see how we see how we smacked him up last time on the goal line? There was no hip tackle there.
Y'all going to the Super Bowl with Russell Wilson?
Yeah.
And if he don't work, Justin Fields coming in.
Why you say that?
Yeah, why folks be down so down?
Well, I don't know why they're hating on Russell Wilson. He basically had an MVP. Like, he clipped it. Leifert clipped it. He basically had an MVP year last year.
He did. He balled out. 26.
He had better numbers. He had better numbers than the actual MVP
at Denver.
Yes.
Yeah. Last year
he actually had better numbers than Lamar Jackson. So why y'all hating? Just imagine if we would have had 30 more touchdowns last year.
I'm gonna tell you the real reason why I don't like that dude, man. And this is breaking news, man. He got curly hair, cuz. I remember when I was in my 20s, dog, my joint used to look just like that, dog. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I don't doubt the man as far as being an athlete, man. He's a great sanitation worker, man. He's, you know what I'm saying? He all that, man. You know what I'm saying? But he got curly hair, man. I don't like it, though.
Oh man.
Anyway, he's the king of optimism. If you ever heard this dude talk, he's the king of optimism.
Love him.
Yeah,
I love him.
so-
we ain't never had a best QB in Steeler history.
Jesus Christ.
Who got better numbers than him?
Than him?
Benjamin Nathaniel Roethlisberger.
He actually doesn't. He does not.
Hey, look, well, I got good news as far as football that's got me excited, right? I'm a Colts fan.
Really?
Oh, I'll say that the Mississippi Mud Crawlers ain't going to the Super Bowl.
And they just signed Raekwon Davis from Miami Dolphins, right?
Yeah.
But me and Raekwon is actually from the same neighborhood back home. You know what I'm saying?
Really? That's good.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm good. I feel good about that. You know what I'm saying?
Shoot. Y'all should have got y'all need y'all back a good
We play y'all. We
quarterback.
play y'all.
We need who now?
I think we
Y'all
play
need y'all good backup quarterback, man.
We got you what? We just
Joe
got Flacco.
Yeah, Joe Flacco.
Oh.
Because Richardson nice, he just get hurt.
Richardson got a strong arm. He ain't proved nothing else to me but that. He got a strong arm. I don't like him, man. I ain't like him in college. I don't like him now, man.
I don't know.
Nah,
I don't say that. Hey, look, he's what you got. So you got to be a realist. You got to ride with what you got.
I done sent $117 to that booster club up there, man, trying to see if they can get Jaden Daniels in his draft. They probably not gonna do it, but I put my 117 in.
You put your money where your mouth is?
Yes.
I ain't never sent the Steelers no money other than buying a ticket.
I gotta get it, man.
No.
Never.
You see how different this thing works? And I mean that's just like black people on voting.
Look, they got some free labor out of me though, for years.
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah.
They got some free labor out of me.
Me too. Well, no, I mean they paid me. They paid me.
Yeah, they paid you.
Why black people won't do that? Why black people won't put their money where they vote at?
Because we
don't got none.
Yeah, because we pay for what we want and beg for what we need. That's why.
But they do understand. I mean, if black people understood this how it works, if we can just all throw $30, $40, $50 in and get this vote that we, you know what I'm saying, this politician that we want.
Because it's a Ponzi scheme. Look, that's what they're gonna say. It's a Ponzi scheme.
Man, but you guess what they do up in Johns Creek when I'm going to work during election season? It say agents for such and such. Because all of them put their money to the lobbyists to get this vote. Because even at my job, when they voting on individual employees to go do certain things, all the agents come together and vote for one Asian person, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But make sure you tell the opposite side of that coin. Hey, we're behind you. In return, we need to get X, Y, and Z.
No. I said that. That's what they do. They put their money together and they throw it out there. Hey, this is what we want. You know what I'm saying?
So as long as I don't think we know what we want. That's the problem. We don't know what we want.
No, we don't.
We want to get in the club free before 10.
But we can't know what we want until we get our family together. Like everything we do, all the programs we put together, it's all gonna be null and void until we get family. It's just throwing money in the ocean, dog.
Like I hear that. So what about what about the people that already messed that boat up? Like what about the folks that so what that mean? They just gotta walk the plank?
No, people like you that don't want to.
There's a sanitation crew. You just ain't on it.
Okay.
Waste management is out there.
but the numbers don't bear out unless we're gonna become a polygamous society or at least a community. The numbers don't bear out.
Just because but all women don't have kids. You know what I'm saying? So just because there's more women than men, I mean, all women don't have kids.
Okay, so I ain't gonna use that term no more. But okay, so as long as they kind of do their thing, okay. But I agree. That's where it starts. I agree. I just don't want to leave those ones that aren't in the ideal situation behind. That's all. That's all I'm saying. As long as we don't do that, I'm okay with
come back.
You know what? Though I think the more what used to happen is there wasn't that many right? Like more of the community was married, so we could pick up the single
A
people.
small sector.
Right.
It was a
But
small
now they're the
sector.
majority of the sector, and it's like there's
And
nobody.
Friendly Bob got to get a bad one that he never would have had a chance at. So he would be like, I'll sign up for it.
Right.
Yeah, so I get it. And he got a lot of appreciation and respect for doing said job.
Well, I'm not even talking about the job. I'm just talking about even if we did the main thing, right? Let's say all the single people got together, like no kids, right, and created a community. There would still be those single moms, right? But the community's sturdy enough of fully developed families to where that one single kid and single mom
You can
in that
sacrifice
house,
one night a week to help. Okay.
take little Johnny to practice, or you know what I'm saying, make sure little Johnny sees the example. You know
And that's what I was getting at. Humble Dad wanted me to just fall on the sword every night of the week. Like, I'm not doing that. you only get 1 or 2 nights a week, bro. Come on, man.
Yeah, no, I get it. But I'm gonna let y'all go, man. Hey, I think it was a good show, man. We're gonna have a lot of clips.
Definitely, for sure.
Starks, I'm gonna hit you a little later.
Cool beans. Appreciate you.
Yep.
All right, y'all. Later.
All right, none.